The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good Monday morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien coming to you live from TFNN, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday morning. We got 30 minutes to go until we kick off the trading week, and right now we got a little bit of a mixed market. You got the S&Ps positive by about 7 points, trading at 39.06. Back it up a couple days. We were up there to 39.78 last week, ending things quite the sell-off on Thursday. A little bit of negative action to end the trading week on Friday, and we're up positive just a bit in the S&Ps this morning. Tech stocks a little bit higher as well. We have a little bit of decreasing yield, lower yield, kind of pairing some of the gains we had last week. Those tech stocks, they are not fans of a higher yield, folks. We got a little bit of a lower yield. Let's jump to the notes and bonds as we do it right now. And there you see the rise. We get the 10-year right now up about 10 ticks. That's going to correlate right now to a yield in the 10-year. As I pull it up, you're looking at about 1.68%. We were dealing with about 1.75% just at the end of last week. A little bit of a reprieve on rates. We back that up to the indices. As you see, tech stocks rising just a bit. We get the Dow off about 27 points right now. The Dow trading 32,476. And how about the Russell up about 3 points at 2282. We check in on Bitcoin over the weekend action. Bitcoin off a bit. You're off almost $2,000 right now at 57,130. You back it up to last week. We were above 60,000 on Thursday. Friday, we had a little bit of an acceleration right towards the close of Friday. Made it to a high of about 59,500. Futures open last night. We make it down to 56,000 and change. Bitcoin trading pretty well, all things considered. Crude oil, after quite the sell-off on last Thursday, stabilizing a bit. You got crude trading at $61.47 so far this morning. Gold contract right now down about $10. Gold trading at $17.30.60. You got silver trading down $29 right now. Silver, not $29. Silver trading down 66 cents at $25.65. And you push it one more. We cover notes and bonds. The 10-year right now positive by 10 ticks. You see the action, 131, the lower boundary. We put the 10-year on a 3-year weekly to see the acceleration. We're kind of right back into the highs we had, whether it was August of 2019, the end of September of 2019, into those highs areas. We make it below 131. Next stop is 128 in the 10-year, which would be kind of the lower area of the consolidation we had towards the end of 2019 in that 10-year. Pretty remarkable. We came in to 2020 prior to COVID with a yield of about 2%. You accelerated to a yield down to about 0.5% almost. That correlating to the highs in price we saw back in August. We were up at that level also at the spike high in March. We've now given up 9 full points in the 10-year, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down, folks. No reason to think that that trend is going to reverse anytime soon. Okay, jumping around to what else we have going on, we'll check out the VIX this morning. Volatility index, the VIX. We'll put this on a daily. We talked about it a couple times last week, right? We saw that 1895 low. Anytime we've been down there, making a low, that's a post-COVID low, we'll call it. Haven't been down at that level in the last year. We've made it pretty close. The reason why I pointed out is because we've made it pretty close, and we have not been out of the woods. I mean, think about how did we make it to a VIX of 20 back in August? You want to talk, yields back in August were still sitting about 0.5% or 0.6%. You're telling me the VIX was saying we're out of the woods? Not so much. We reached 38 in September. We reached 41 in October. We reach a flash high of 31 in December. Things get a little hairy in late January. And then really just since we were dealing with things when you go back to really the beginning of March, we had a period here where we were hitting 30, whether it was 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 days out of 7 that we had a VIX of 30. We've paired all of those gains in the VIX as this market has come roaring back. We had highs basically across the board outside of the NASDAQ 100. I mean, you look at the S&Ps, right? All things considered, sitting relatively near all-time highs. You pull up the Dow, talk about all-time highs, and really, you check out the Dow. Got a couple of notations on the chart here. We're right up near the upper boundary line of this consolidation the Dow has been in. Whether we bounce around here, whether we trade back to the lower end of this boundary line, it doesn't look like much on this chart, but that's because we've come from 18,000 on this chart all the way up to 33,000. You back down to the lower end of this boundary line, you're talking about 2,000 points in the Dow that you could trade and still be well within an up channel line in the Dow. And the Russell right up there as well. I mean, look at the Russell, right? We make the channel line, we trade above it. Bud Rolfs, if you're not familiar with TFNN in the days past, folks, we had one of our educators, one of our hosts, newsletter writers, a man by the name of Bud Rolfs, a great guy in a big way. He was the king of channels, right? Talked about channels many times. One of the things he would say is you want to see it break out of the channel, come back and retest that channel line before it is a true breakout. You get a textbook version of it, folks, in the Russell, right? You come back, you break out, you come back, you test that channel line on 2 occasions. It bounces off of that level. We almost make it back to test it again and again. You put this thing on a daily, and folks, we've talked about it. Now, look how interesting this is. I love the Thinkorswim platform. I can see the data point of when I constructed this line. Okay, and when I constructed this line, amazing how time goes, was November 23rd. Okay, we're sitting on March 22nd. 4 months ago, I put this line on this chart. My goodness. Now, I put it here, but we can see, you know, maybe this was an area that it was like this was the channel line. Probably not, right? You line up the points, you line up the highs, they line up pretty well, you bounce off that channel. Point being, we come pretty close to twice bouncing off that channel line. The Russell sitting at 2282. You make it back down, though, anywhere near that channel line, you're talking about 150 points in the Russell, potentially below where we're trading at right now in that index. Let's jump over to gold for a brief moment. You get the gold chart, putting it on a 3-year weekly. Gold, quite the acceleration from the lows that we had in COVID of 1450 up to 2089. It's been a one-way rocket ship to lower prices since the high made in August. Not too surprising with everything going on with yields. You get the gold contract trading at 1731. We've backed down the 618 retracement right at about 1700. That's a critical level in gold, folks. The great thing about Fibonacci numbers sometimes, whether it's seeing where you might be wrong instantly, right? This could be a nice area to step into some gold. You're about 1700. You're trading at 1731. You know right away, if it breaks this consolidation gold had going from April 6th to June 8th, that's a 2-month consolidation, folks. These are weekly bars, and gold held up pretty well at that 618. We come back to a pretty round number of 1700. You bounce on that occasion as well. You could step into a little gold. Maybe you set your stop price just below those levels, because if you go below 1700 in gold, I mean, geez, the next stop is probably 1500, right? That was the low in COVID. You're going to accelerate. I mean, we have the high bar from the week of March 9th, where things really started accelerating, as in that could be support. You get into this bar, no reason to think that gold can't trade down $200 to $1,500. Maybe you set your stop somewhere below 1,700. Just trying to walk you through some of those areas of Fibonacci. The great thing about using some of those levels is if you're trading off some of those levels, you know instantly that your methodology is wrong, right? We're looking at the 618 retracement. We're looking at it. We're seeing a level of support going back all the way to about a year ago. We're seeing a level of support we just had in early March. We're seeing a 618 retracement on the chart. You step into that position, you're wrong, you step out, because the next stop could be 1,500 if it doesn't hold these levels. But gold this morning down about $10 at 1731. Stay tuned, folks. We got a lot to talk about on Monday Trading. We'll be right back.
Golden ratios give shape to everything in our world, represented in the Fibonacci sequence. These special numbers define the patterns that make up our universe. Not even markets can escape the omnipotence of these ratios. Larry Pesavento is a 45-year market veteran who has published nearly a dozen books on the powerful patterns we find in nature and their relationships with the ever-elusive markets. Larry's newsletter, Fibonacci 24/7, will teach you to harness the power of these natural golden ratios in order to create successful trades. Fibonacci 24/7 is designed to teach the tools you need to identify and act on these undeniable and reoccurring patterns. Sign up for Larry's newsletter, Fibonacci 24/7, and you will also receive free access to his trading webinar, Trading Strong Trending Markets. Try out Larry's newsletter risk-free. All of TFNN's newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
If you're not currently using the TAS Profile Scanner when looking at setting up your trading opportunities, then your arsenal is short a mighty weapon. The TAS Profile Scanner is a standalone piece of software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Headed by Steve Dahl, TAS understands that in today's technological world, the use of top-flight software applications and technical analysis expertise is essential to successful trading in today's market. You also gain access to the webinar that Steve Dahl and Tom O'Brien just hosted, The Best Way to Use the TAS Profile Scanner to Profit. This webinar archive is available for all subscribers immediately upon signing up. All new subscriptions also come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Start your subscription by visiting the front page of TFNN.com today, and you'll find the TAS Profile Scanner under the Services tab. Sign up today.
Hey there, I'm Andy Arbertine with Tiger Precious Metals and Stones. Whether you're looking to buy and sell precious metals or trying to find the perfect diamond ring, I'm here to help. I have over 15 years of experience with diamonds and precious metals. You can call me directly at 727-329-8245, and I will personally answer any questions you have and help you find exactly what you're looking for. I will be your personal concierge in the metal and stone business. Give me a call today, 727-329-8245.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps positive by 8, NASDAQ positive by 96 right now. I'm going to jump around a little bit to some vaccines. So in Florida, they opened it up to 50 years or older today. In Orange County in Florida, they opened it up to 40 years old or older, completely in regulations, okay, in terms of that county, going a little bit younger. They've been doing a great job, Orange County, of vaccinating the older people in that area, so they're more comfortable dropping that age limit a little bit. Folks, I talk about it because I wasn't sure it had happened. I wanted to make sure about it before I came out over the air. But they open this up at 9 in the morning. Check it out if you're between the ages of 40 or 50. If you're 50 or older, you're now eligible across the state. But I was just able to get an appointment over here for the Orange County Department of Health. So the site I have, I believe, is OCFL, like Orange County, Florida, OCFL.net. You may have to create an account on there, and it's 40 plus. This is just at their area in terms of where it will be 40 plus. You're talking about, it's just in Orange County at the Orange County Convention Center drive-through site. It's great news. Supply opening across the board, folks. But please, if you're out there, if you know anybody between the ages of 40 or 50, doesn't mean it might not happen today. But check that out. I know they just opened some appointments. I was just making sure that I was able to get it, because sometimes you go through all this stuff, right? You're not sure, but I got the confirm, folks. I got it as soon as tomorrow. So this is moving that fast. If you know people out there, check it out. Orange County in Florida. I know we got a lot of listeners in Florida, which is why I just want to mention it, because I know people are out there. They're trying to get it done. So pretty cool. Got it done tomorrow afternoon. I'll be out there getting my vaccine. Folks, it's safe. It's effective. It's how we're going to open this economy back up and get back to normal. You're talking about, in the U.S. alone, 124 million doses of the vaccine. That's a staggering number, folks. In the beginning of this, people were saying, I'm going to wait. I don't want to be the guinea pig in the beginning. I say to those people, at what point, how many hundreds of millions of people need to get the vaccine before you're comfortable getting the same vaccine? That's 124 million doses given to Americans, folks. Not talking about overseas, across the board. Of course, AstraZeneca, why not? So check it out. Orange County, Florida, if you're between 40 and 50, amazing that they had it that quickly. They opened at 9, literally within a couple minutes. If you're 50 or older, just so you know as well, it's now opened up to you across the board in the state of Florida. And, state by state, it is varying. So look into things, folks. Be proactive if you're looking for it, because I know already in Massachusetts, I believe they already have a date that they're going full across the board sometime in April, I believe. Maybe April 17th, 19th, I'm guessing there. But they're already planning of when they're going to open it up across the board. But pretty interesting. Check that out. It's there's a lot of info out there to keep track of. I just found out over the weekend myself that one county in Florida is going to be pushing 40 plus. I said to myself, well, geez, there's going to be 1 million people in Florida trying to get to that one county, right? But somehow it happened, folks. So stay on it. Keep clicking those buttons, and hopefully you'll get in there as well when you get the chance. So tying it back to AstraZeneca, this is a nice little segue. AstraZeneca, in terms of vaccines, so we have a fourth vaccine now potentially. 79% effective in the U.S., shows no safety issues. AstraZeneca, they've been in the press everywhere, right, with what's going on for Europe. They have some issues of blood clotting, whether that's associated with the vaccine or not. It seems to be not. That's what the scientists, that's what the regulators keep saying. Independent panel looks at blood clot risk, found no concerns. I mean, folks, as I mentioned, we're talking about in the world, you got 500 million people potentially have almost 500 million people have received some type of vaccine. You're going to have many instances of people having health issues over the course of their normal life that may not be associated with the vaccine when you're on a quest to potentially vaccinate billions of people across the globe. We're at almost 500 million people. Of course, there's going to be stories. We're at almost 124 million doses in the U.S. alone. Of course, there's going to be stories. That doesn't mean that they are caused by the vaccine. It's unfortunate. I have to reiterate that. But that is the case, folks. AstraZeneca, that's what regulators and scientists are saying. New trial data paved the way for U.S. regulatory submission. So this data is out. They still have to submit it to the U.S. The U.S. still has to go over it, potentially approve it. The shot, developed with the University of Oxford, 79% effective in preventing COVID-19. Independent monitoring board found no safety concerns, the company said Monday. All those immunized were protected from severe disease and death in a study of more than 30,000 volunteers. So again, completely understandable when you look at 30,000, you say, that's a small number. Maybe you want to wait for bigger numbers. I see that and I see safety, but understandable. But folks, when you start talking about 124 million doses administered to Americans alone, 500 million doses across the globe, safe and effective, and now we got AstraZeneca. It looks to be probably submitting that to the U.S. at some point. Now, Europe's having a big problem here as so many countries shut down the availability of this vaccine. Now it's come back to say it's safe and effective. Damage already done in terms of the social sentiment for that vaccine. You have Europe dealing with a third wave of coronavirus at a time when vaccine skepticism on the rise. And I can understand that as well, right? You have your government saying, wait a second, we don't know if this thing is safe, and they should do that as well. But just keep listening to the science, folks. Hopefully the world out there seems to be that this is safe as well. And hopefully the clouding of that doesn't get too cloudy in terms of people being trusting, which is tough, understandably, of this vaccine, because that's how Europe's going to get over it, man. Europe's got a big problem right now, talking about being behind the 8 ball and dealing with the problems of the AstraZeneca vaccine. I mean, the shortfall of deliveries in the EU has put Astra at odds with the bloc and led to officials to propose exports. They're battling over who ships what here. It's a big mess. But nonetheless, they got new data. They're coming out. They say that it's safe and effective. All right, what else we got going on? I wanted to touch a story on Apple here. Pretty interesting in terms of the reaches this may have. So Apple's HomePod Mini has a secret sensor waiting to be switched on. Watch out for those Apple sensors. The tiny component has potential to revive a smart home strategy that has trailed Amazon and Google. Yeah, Apple really missed the ball here in terms of Siri. They let Alexa take over the whole world in terms of, now Google has their Google Home too, but you can't argue with Alexa being the dominator of that. Jeff Bezos, they were so smart, just pushing out products that were so cheap in terms of the Amazon Echoes. Apple opted to stay with the fact that you needed basically $1,000 phone to talk to Siri. A big problem. You should have been, Apple should have been pushing out $20 items somehow you could put in your house to talk to Siri. They didn't do it. Alexa took over the market. But what Apple has in here, and it's really interesting, is that their HomePod Mini speaker launched in November with a new feature, such as a home intercom system, but one part of the device remains secret, a sensor that measures temperature and humidity. So it's got a sensor in there that it's not even using, that it hasn't even publicized. I mean, think about where we're going to go, folks. We always say technology is moving faster than you can imagine. I talked to Dave White when I was hosting Tom's program a couple weeks back. Excuse me. And one of the things we were talking about was exponential growth and how it's so difficult sometimes for the human mind to go from a linear function, which is kind of how we understand things, to an exponential function. This is one great example of it, folks. We can't even understand right now the reaches of this, to the point where Apple is putting items in their products that we aren't even using yet, knowing that those products may become crucial, as in you got temperature and humidity all over your house and all the devices of the HomePod Mini. Well, it's going to know which room is humid, which room is not. It can turn a fan on in that one room. It can trigger your thermostat. We'll get into it a little bit more, but it's kind of interesting just to make you think about the technology. We'll be right back, folks.
Hi, folks. This is Tom O'Brien. The printing presses are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The U.S. deficit has risen 200% in 1 year with no end in sight. The markets are looking for an additional stimulus bill to get us through this once-in-a-generation pandemic. There is no free lunch, folks. The more stimulus dollars put into the marketplace, the less your dollar is worth each and every day. This is the time to protect yourself with a portion of your portfolio in the metal market. The Gold Report comes out each Monday morning. I bisect and dissect the dollar, silver, gold, the XAU, and the HUI. The Gold Report is a long-term hedge against the dilution of your buying power. The U.S. has put more than $6 trillion into the marketplace in the last 6 months, with more expected in the next few months. The market did and does need the stimulus, but it will have long-term implications on our buying power. The Gold Report comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to TFNN.com and order the Gold Report now. Protect your buying power. Order the Gold Report now.
You could be making money off the stock market. And if you're already making money off the stock market, you could be making a lot more. Check out TFNN and Tiger TV and get expert investing advice to give you the power to control your financial future. Go to TFNN.com and find the newsletter for you. Whether you're into trading gold, metals, futures, currencies, or options, you'll get advice and analysis to help you seriously get ahead. TFNN also features trading services with a 30-day money-back guarantee for new subscribers, as well as TFNN's Tiger Den trading room, trading software, and educational webinars for all trading levels. And make sure you check out Tiger TV for free on TFNN.com or TFNN's YouTube channel for live financial content from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern on market days. Stop watching on the sidelines while other people get rich and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got the markets open. We got S&Ps positive by about 7 points, trading at 3906. The Dow right now negative by 51. Tech stocks positive to the tune of about 0.8% in the green, and the NASDAQ 100 and the Russell getting quite a little pop as well. Russell up about 10 points right now, trading at 2289. There we go. We see the high on Friday we had in the Russell just a few points higher at about 2295 in that index of the small cap Russell 2000. Jumping over to crude trading at 61.86. We'll check in on gold real quick. Gold contract down about $10, and let's take a look at notes and bonds right now. 10-year up about 8 ticks, had been up about 10 ticks. All right, I'm going to jump to the cruise ships real quick. So Royal Caribbean out there stating that they are going to begin cruises again in June, I believe. Let's pull up the headline here. So we got Royal Caribbean will restart some Caribbean cruises in June. There it is, following a year-long suspension amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Crews will be fully vaccinated. Adult guests will be required to be vaccinated as well. Children under 18 will need to show proof of a negative COVID test. Folks, I think that's a great plan for these cruise ships, because I was reading this over the weekend. I was saying to the people even in my house, saying, you know, if you think you're going to catch me on a cruise ship anytime in the next year till this thing is really eradicated in terms of COVID, you're crazy. But then the details come out, and I said, you know what, that's not bad. You got every single crew member vaccinated. You got every single adult on the whole ship vaccinated, and you have children getting on the ship need to show a negative test. That's about as careful as you can be outside of 0 cases in the world consisting of COVID, right? Now, where people come from, if you're picking people up from different ports, and they're not picking up from ports, but you get the point in terms of getting off at ports, going on, there's still a risk. The risk there, of course, you jump on a boat, somehow somebody catches the virus, they get on that boat, you get locked down on that boat to make sure the virus doesn't spread from that boat to other parts of the country, wherever it's docked. Yes, that's a risk. But you're going to start to see this more so, and I think this is the cruise ship's only chance. I really do, of getting back. Now, Royal Caribbean, they got some work to do to get back to where we were, 135 down to 19. But you look, I mean, we're back to almost prices that we were sitting at in October of 2019. You pull up Carnival Cruise is sitting at about $28.28, well off the $50 high we had prior to COVID, and well off the lows of 2019 of about $40 sitting there. Now, Carnival, I was pulling up, some of the headlines that I was looking at in Carnival, saying maybe, some of those shares trading lower amid concerns of a third coronavirus wave in Europe. We talked about that a little bit earlier in terms of Europe well behind for their vaccinations, dealing with some vaccination phobia having to do with AstraZeneca and the press behind the AstraZeneca vaccine being that rolled out. Europe might be a little bit late to the party getting vaccinated. Nonetheless, pay attention to this plan, folks, because for the first time I said to myself, wow, that actually is pretty reassuring. You have the whole crew vaccinated. You have every single adult that wants to go on a cruise being vaccinated, and you have children needing to show a negative test. It might be time, folks, in terms of, you might have to wait a while in terms of a year or two to these cruises get back to normal. But that's strong data, and I could start seeing a lot of people signing up for cruises if you feel that safe, which I think a lot of people will. I might not in the beginning, but that's pretty encouraging. If you tell me every single adult over the age of 18, including the crew and the people on the ship, will be vaccinated, and every child under 18 is going to have to show a negative test, it's about as good as you can do on that ship, living in the times that we live in right now, which is still, COVID is persisting. I mean, we still have, folks, in the U.S., over 1,000 deaths a day right now on a 7-day average. It's not getting a lot of press because, number one, the press is, how do we get the vaccine out, right? That's the news. Where are we in the vaccine? Because that's the news that gets us over this hump. But it's still out there, so be careful until we get over that hump. All right, let's see what else we got going on in terms of stocks with action. How about Blackstone? They're proposing a $6.2 billion buyout of Australian casino operator Crown Resorts. The stock rose about the offer price in Australian trading, signaling investor bets that a higher bid could come from another suitor. Pretty interesting when you see some of these private equity firms going after casinos, right? We saw the Venetian, the Palazzo get sold off as well. I mean, private equity, they know what's going on. They know the demand that's about to come, right? If I had the capital, folks, I would buy a Vegas casino for sure because, boy, I mean, it's just going to be an amazing pent-up demand from all over the world once this subsides. I mean, can you imagine Las Vegas rocking this summer, July 4th, just anywhere in a big way? A great time to be in kind of that service industry in the next 3 to 6 months. Probably the worst place to be ever in the service industry over about the last 12 to 13 to 14 months as this thing has really hit. Yeah, the railroad. So big deal over the weekend as well. You had Kansas City Southern agreeing to be bought by Canadian Pacific Railway. $25 billion cash and stock deal transaction worth $2.75 a share compared to Kansas City Southern's. They were trading at $2.24 as of Friday, surging 17.8% in the pre-market. Canadian Pacific sliding, as is usually the case, but that's a big deal, creating a big rail operator. I believe that's going to be tying together Mexico and the U.S. in some capacity as well. Our man Dave White was in the Tiger Stand earlier pushing out some information on that as well. So Pepsi, they're trading a little bit higher. They get an upgrade to overweight from equal weight at Barclays. Noted recent underperformance by the stock and potential for accelerating revenue and profit growth. Pepsi, taking a look at their chart. There's the 3-year. Talk about an acceleration. We go down to almost $100. We make it back to $148. Pepsi's giving back a lot. Through the start of this year, you put this thing on a daily. We had quite the volatility for Friday. Look at that run we had on Friday. From 132 to 135, we're extending that gain today up to about 137. And you could say broken the channel line on the downside in a big way. You always like to see this type of an acceleration in a big way in terms of, you place a channel line on here. Let's just do it real quick to show. I mean, it's not going to be a perfect one, right? But you go from the highs to the highs, something like that. You go to the lows, pretty well-defined channel line on the lows. Not exactly parallel lines there, but you can see, boom, we break above that area on Friday. We break above it on Monday. Now, what were we talking about earlier in the session? Our man Bud Rolfs, the channel master, he'd be looking for a little bit of a pullback, potentially, to test that channel line and then accelerate higher. Pepsi's up 1.7% today. Doesn't look to get that pullback today's action. We'll see how that trades out. All right. What else we got going on? Jumping around to other stocks with action. We talked about Royal Caribbean. So Tesla, how about this one? Tesla shares will hit 3,000 in 2025, according to a projection by ARK Invest founder Cathie Wood. Cathie Wood, who is her PR person? Because, man, she makes headlines every single day, it seems like. If that prediction pans out, Tesla will be worth roughly $3.6 trillion. I mean, folks, CNBC makes me laugh sometimes. I'm not a huge fan of them. They got some headlines. I cherry pick from some of the headlines just to go over some of the stocks that might be catching the most headlines in the morning. But in terms of raw analysis, CNBC is a joke. I'll put it that bluntly. I mean, in what news is it that you have somebody who's a huge Tesla shareholder like ARK pushing their book? That's all they're doing, folks. All right. ARK's out there saying we own a boatload of Tesla and we think that it's going to be worth a lot more money. And if you think that too, buy that stock and boost the share price, which will help our investment. Of course, they're going to be saying that their projections say it's going to be worth a lot in the next few years, which is why they own a boatload of Tesla shares. But ARK right now up about 1.5%. Anytime you see the tech stock surging, let's take a look and see where Tesla's trading at today. You got Tesla shares. How about up 5%? Quite a pop. 687.50. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back after this small break.
Are you in the market for buying or selling real estate in the Bay Area, including the surrounding St. Petersburg, Tampa, and Clearwater markets? Tiger Real Estate LLC is a firm that has extensive experience in the Tampa Bay area. Whether you're looking to sell your current property for maximum value, or you're in the market for a second home or investment property, Tiger Realty has the experience across all areas of real estate in the Tampa Bay area to help buyers and sellers make the most informed decisions across all price levels. From the price you should be paying per square foot in certain up-and-coming areas to the type of cash flow investment properties are capable of creating, Tiger Real Estate can help you make the best decision when it comes to all areas of the market. Before you make one of the biggest decisions of your financial future, call Tiger Real Estate LLC today at 727-329-8322 or email us at tiger@tfnn.com. That's 727-329-8322. Call us today.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. Finishing the talk on Tesla. So Tesla's up about 5.1% today. And yeah, it's almost so self-fulfilling, right? I mean, you have the ETF, almost hedge fund manager, Kathy Wood. She's talking about Tesla's going higher. Tesla goes higher. Tesla going higher, sets her fund higher. Just keep it all in mind because it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. When she pumps up Tesla, Tesla pumps up her. Tesla's up 5%, talking about that it might trade to, what was it, $3,000 was the estimate, pushing this thing through a $3.6 trillion company by the year 2025. And yeah, it could happen, folks, for sure. But anything could happen by the year 2025 when you're talking about some of these tech stocks that are beginning to dominate things in a big way. And as they're joking about in the den, they're saying, yeah, next headline out there is Kathy Wood and Elon. They're getting married. They're going to pump them both up there. We joke. I kid. But and her PR person, whoever it is, it's insane. I mean, she runs an amazing tech fund, right, folks? But anybody could have said, I'm going to buy a ton of tech and been up to the tune of 160. And yes, she's benefited greatly, but keep in mind that, you ride that wave up, you may ride that wave down. You just went from 160 down to 106. That's quite a pullback. All right, this is not for the faint of heart. It's highly leveraged in a big way, up to 160, down to 106. You make it back up to 130. That's the case when you're in some of these tech stocks. We'll jump around to some of the other ones. You got Microsoft shares up by about 1% today, trading at 232. Microsoft's behaved relatively well, all things considered. The high we had from September, keep your eye on this because we're trading right at that level, 232.86. The high, you can see we've chopped around right at that high since about the last month, right? I mean, February 23rd, you kind of been consolidating in between about 232 and 240. We're right at the lower boundary line. Microsoft up about 0.9%. You're checking on Amazon. Amazon shares up about 0.4%. Amazon, quite a consolidation as well, since dating back to July 1st for Amazon shares up to 3,085 right now. Still, long-term on Amazon, you could begin to almost dabble at these prices, folks. This is a consolidation area. The upper boundary is at about 3,400. The lower boundary is at about 2,900, give or take. And we're trading near the lower boundary, 3,087. For Amazon shares, Google, talk about behaving well. Google, there's your consolidation from about 2,000 to 2,150 in Google. You're trading at 2,032 in Google shares. We'll jump to Netflix shares. NFLX up 1% at 517. Same thing. Netflix has quite the consolidation. Just pulling up a quick box on this thing, right? You go from really where we were, going all the way back. Maybe that's your consolidation right there. They line up pretty well. You got lower lows across the board in terms of whether it was July, August, September, November. And then you got the upper boundary line we made originally in July, touched that level again in October, and just climbed above that level in January, almost reached that level again in February, and we've backed off a bit, trading at about $5.19. We'll jump over to some of my favorite stocks. Got to talk about Disney. I got a potential ABC in Disney of 226 up there. You got an A leg of 117. It hits the B point of 183.40. We pull back to 160.52. That pullback on January 27th. We accelerate past the B point. I mean, look at that B point, how it was resistance originally, and then once we pass it, and we jump right above it on February 8th. We also have a huge leg that we accelerate above it. That leg on February 22nd with some decent volume. We continue the run on February 3rd with decent volume. We pull back, and again, every time we've pulled back, you leap out of that level again. We make an all-time high of 203.02. That high made March 8th. We've pulled back a bit, but I would encourage you, whether it's the 183 level, that is definitely acting as support on Disney at this level, but we accelerate, and boy, you got potentially, what is that? I crushed it out. You're talking about a $66? Yes, a $66 A to B leg. We pull that off. You're trading at 226, and that's definitely in the realm, folks. When we just hit 203.02, Disneyland in California, their parks aren't even open just yet. Disney World in Orlando, open at a lower diminished capacity. Movie theaters not even open yet. A lot of room to the upside. We have Disney in my newsletter. I have some Disney, so of course I'm out there pushing my own book in a certain way. But I've been cheerleading this thing all the way since we got into it in my newsletter. I think back in somewhere in July at about 118 on Disney. Quite the run that it's had. Taking a look at Uber. Uber shares, pretty flat today. You got a consolidation in Uber between about $50 and $60. We got into Uber, I think it around in my newsletter, around $30. You're trading up almost 100% on that equity over about the last 6-7 months. Uber shares, again, similar story. Uber, now, the interesting part about Uber here, breaking it down, is you had this entire pullback from February 11th to February 25th, which correlated to stocks pulling back that might suffer from the economy opening back up. Uber pulling back because they are the dominator now in food delivery, right? They bought Drizzly, which is an alcohol company. They bought Grubhub, I believe it was, right? That is another food delivery business. So yes, that part of their business will suffer for a short period of time, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, a year, where we're all out and about trying to do everything we can outside of our homes. Uber pulls back, but I think the market's being a little bit unfair in terms of the pullback it's had, not realizing, not realizing, but not factoring in the growth that it's going to have in ride sharing. Because you look at a chart like Lyft, okay, which has no food delivery whatsoever, and you got Lyft trading from $20 to $65. It's pushing basically all-time highs. You put this thing on a 3-year weekly, we're coming up to the levels of their IPO, which was, now if you recall, Lyft went IPO ahead of Uber, and the market pulled back pretty quickly, saying that lofty valuation does not hold water. But we're talking about a level that's right up there near the all-time highs, besides maybe 1 or 2 days when it first went public. Now you take a look at Uber, and you are above those levels, but Uber, I mean, we're barely above where we were trading at in Uber as far back as November 23rd. All right, I imagine Uber has more upside as the economy opens back up. I mean, whether it's travel, think about how many people use Uber when traveling, right? Think about how many people use Uber when going out for younger folks on the weekend when they need rides going home. Now, yes, there's already a bunch of younger folks out and about. I'm sure we all saw some of the headlines and pictures, whether it was in Miami, whether it's in Clearwater Beach. Spring break seems to be alive and well in Florida. Whether that's good or not, completely understandable, folks, for people of that age group. They're catching a lot of flack lately. But boy, if any of us were 21 years old, folks, and we've been in lockdown for a year, this thing is coming around, really try and see things from everybody's perspective. Because it's frustrating for some that we're not out of this yet, and we want people to behave. It's frustrating for others, folks. We've been living in this for a year, and you got kids going to spring break. They can't even go to college. They can't see their friends. Completely understandable. I'm non-judgmental to those people in any way. But the same thing, you got to respect some of the counties that are trying to just manage the next month or so as we spread vaccines out, that this thing doesn't spread like it's happening in Europe. We're seeing some lockdowns because numbers are getting out of control before vaccines have really taken hold. Point being, Uber's got some room to the upside, folks. We made it down to 13 prior to COVID in terms of the low. We were sitting at $43 prior to COVID hitting. We're sitting at 57 right now. Uber is going to dominate the food delivery business for the foreseeable future. Now, they're going to have Instacart that's going to be a player. They're going to have DoorDash that's going to be a player in a big way. But there's nothing like Uber in terms of having the ride availability everywhere. I pulled up Instacart last night, and they didn't have drivers available to drop off groceries, so I would have had to wait till today. Uber's the big player. They're never going to be out of drivers, folks. And that's going to play into things as they continue to see demand rise, even in a post-COVID environment for their services. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back to finish up the show.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
Markets can rise and fall like the tides. Subscribe to Basil Chapman's newsletter, The Opening Call, and you too can ride the wave. Basil Chapman is an authority in technical analysis. His Chapman Wave trading system has been helping traders identify trends and capitalize on momentum in the markets since 1984. TFNN invites you to test Basil's proprietary Chapman Wave trading methodology with a monthly subscription to the Opening Call newsletter for only $149. Your subscription to the Opening Call comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, as well as daily market updates on key indexes, stocks, and commodities. Ride the wave. Sign up for the Opening Call risk-free today.
Introducing Primal Edge.
Today, it's even more important to take a supplement that complements your health. Primal Edge is specifically formulated to boost your immune system and help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Our early ancestors found all their nutritional requirements in the wild environment. But today, our food sources don't contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that we need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated humic and fulvic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They've been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, without them, life cannot exist.
That's right, Ellen. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge. Just $89 exclusively at TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
All right, welcome back, folks. I want a couple more stories to jump through as we wrap up the program. So Jetblue, they're going to push out $650 million through the sale of convertible senior notes due in 2026. Not surprising, folks, that you're seeing these airlines, right, wait to get to a level that they see supreme value in their share price. They're not going to push them out at $6, folks. You just got to $21.73. You have Jetblue shares basically trading above where you were in 2020. I mean, think about that. You reached a high of 21.73. The entire high for JetBlue in the year of 2020 was 21.65. They made a high going back to, let's back it up even further, a 5-year weekly. Yeah, the last time we traded at these prices, you're talking about March of 2018. Not surprising that the executives over at JetBlue say this might be a good time to push out some debt and convertible securities. They pushed it out. JetBlue's down about 5.5%. JetBlue, they've gotten it all back, and rightfully so in terms of, I talked about it on my show last week. Folks, if you're looking to book travel, right, JetBlue, they better be sending us some promotional dollars or something for what we're giving them. But it's a service to the listeners, folks. JetBlue, they have a great service from Tampa to Boston. I'm familiar with that most. You can book flights right now in JetBlue, and maybe some of the other airlines as well. Look into it. No change fees, no cancellation fees. That deal's only good for the next 9 days because we're coming out of COVID. And once we do, they're not going to be giving these freebie cancellations, change fees anymore because demand's going to go through the roof. So right now they have that, and I'd take advantage of it if you're planning any type of travel. You book now, you don't do it, you just cancel. You get your money back. We've never seen a time like this, folks, and hopefully we never see a time like it again because airlines can't operate when they just have people canceling and paying nothing, right? They got to know when those planes are full. They fill them to the max. We know how it works. We will get back to those levels. But check all that out in DraftKings. They're higher after they get, an upgrade or, well, they're called top pick. Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that, folks. There was a lot. I didn't get a chance to check out a lot of the basketball March Madness this weekend, but boy, there were some huge upsets. We got number ones going out. We got 15 seeds going into the Sweet 16, and we got 8 seeds going in, beating the 1. It's a good time to be in that sports gambling business as it expands as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. Stay tuned. Basil Chapman at 10, Larry at 12, Fast Market at 11. Live programming all day, folks. Have a great Monday.
Building wealth trading